Very good afternoon, my soul sisters. Thank you for your precious time who have come here. We are discussing about women at power need women in power. Now, there are a lot of theories, there are a lot of articles and journals which have come out globally from our country also about how the empowerment of women can push GDP within India. There are a lot of studies that have gone into it from McKinsey, from the Gender Report, etc. That everybody is expecting that we are have a sizable representation of the women in the workforce, whether in the cities or in the rural areas. This can certainly push up our GDP by the year 2025 to close to $770 billion, which is a huge push-up. At the same time, in the South Asia Pacific region also, this certainly will go a long way to push up the GDP. But having said so, like these are all theories which are there about women empowerment, about representation of women across all strata of the society, right? But I can talk certainly from my own personal experience, like how the so-called empowered women in my life have enriched me and kind of given me a platform to come up in front of all of you today and talk and share my experience. We are all very in awe of our moms at home because, they are homemakers, and a sector which is certainly not recognized in our country. We don't attribute any value to being a homemaker. It's just a free service which our moms do, and I'm sorry, this is how things are or used to be. So if I really attribute a value to the work that is being done by our moms, right, and it's a selfless, it's an unpaid service, then the kind of money that can go into it is something we really cannot comprehend to earn in our lifetimes, right? So we have seen our mom who's dedicated their lives to bring us up, right? To educate us, to teach us, to give us the kind of values with which we were brought up. And for me, of course, she's the first hand who held me, since the time I came out of the mom's womb, to kind of treat me into the path of empowerment. She taught me to be educated, she sent me to a good college, encouraged me to study, go for higher studies, take a job, move alone, travel globally. Even I travel all over the world alone. I'm a solo traveler and I love being that. And that's the first level of empowerment. Now, when I entered into the job arena, I was going through a lot of personal turmoil at that point of time. To put it in one word, yes, my personal life was in complete catastrophe at that point of time. I had almost a broken marriage, domestic violence in a foreign country. I was locked inside my room without food and stuff like that. And I had a miscarriage also, and those are the things, experiences when I look back, which prepared me for making my life today. And my parents, my mom, stood like we say, the rock of Gibraltar and supported me. When I entered my work front, I'm very fortunate to have worked with female bosses in my life because I'm a hospital administrator. I had an economics background when I got married at a very early age, and everything I started after my personal life started going down and down and down. So I did my hospital management, my medical law, and my Six Sigma also. And these are things, unfortunately, my entire professional experience, I've worked with female bosses. And I'm very honored that today, the kind of understanding, the kind of empathy they showed towards me, while teaching me on the job, while grooming me, I think that is what we actually mean by women at power need women in power. Because today, if I'm in a position of power, I will certainly allow or encourage more women to come to my office to work with me as team members and to support me. Because I'm thankful that there's no men in the room, but then women as workers are much more sincere, much more hardworking, they're very, very dedicated. And the biggest thing which I find today when I'm in a certain position of power in my organization, that they're multitasking. You won't find a single woman today in today's lives, who run their home front, their professional front, their social front with equal elan, They are active in social media, they are well groomed, they are well turned out, they are well read, they are assertive, and at the same time, they are perfect at their home. I know it does take a lot of toll. At the end of the day, some of us, we do complain, do I really have the me time, or, But then it is important that these things are also very, very important, that we have to encourage our children, to grow up in a certain environment where we treat them with equity. See, a man and a woman, a boy and a girl will always be different, right? That's how nature has made them. And let's respect the differences. I don't see any reason why I have to be like a man, to enforce myself. I am a woman in my right, and certainly I can talk about myself, and within that right, I can enforce myself. I don't need to be, I really don't like when, people say that, ये तो लड़का जैसा है, लड़का जैसा नहीं है, लड़की है, but she is a child in her own right. I think that's how the values should be inculcated right at the beginning. Also, when it comes to education, I must also say that we have always seen historically that women are always pushed towards conventional fields of education, teaching job, arts, creativity. Full respect to them, I have nothing against it. But equal fervor, we have to encourage our women, to take into mathematics, to take into science. Those are not male bastions anymore. The majority of the ISRO scientists today are all female, who are sending space missions and, and sending space rockets to Mars and Moon. So what about them? So we have to allow them to tread their barriers, to transcend their barriers, to break down all the barriers, and grow up with that value. There's nothing that is no longer limited to a man, which is not limited to a woman. A woman can go to space. A woman, we have got astronauts who have gone to space, who are doing so much of good research globally, also in fields of chemistry and physics, etc. That is very, very important. We have to allow them to grow as a responsible citizen, more than a man and a woman. I think that's where it is more important. If I'm a responsible citizen today, then I will allow my fellow compatriots to come up as an enriched citizen also. And we need to have a good amount of recruitment into the corporate sector, into the government sector also, for women to come in. Because when these women grow up the ladder, the whole cycle comes up, because they allow more women to come into the workforce. That is very, very important. So women at power is kind of need women in power is very, very important. We have come a long way. I'm not saying there's no improvement. There's a lot of improvement which has happened in the last 2 decades. We have women now in panchayats. We have now women in political parties and a spokesperson of political parties, which even a few years could not be thought of. We have a majority of women. Good to see they're heading the banking sectors now in our country. And we have got a whole bunch of female authors. I've got one female author friend here right now with me, sitting here. I've got, again, a woman power, Mrs. Manjula Jain, heading the Kolkata chapter. We have many such women when we look around. So it is important that we educate the child the right way, grow them up, allow them to explore into uncharted territories. Let's not limit their dreams. Let us allow them to dream the moon, to travel where nobody has traveled, to walk where nobody has walked, and to run and chase their own dreams. I think we as women can make it happen. And let's not say that, she's almost like a man. She is a woman, let's respect that. I think that's very, very important for me. I would not like to be equated with a man. I need a man, as much as we all do. I won't say that man is not required. Of course man is required, because the relationship is very complementary. At the same time, let us not lose ourselves. Let us dream big and bigger, and let us allow people down the line, our future generation, to dream even bigger. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your speech, ma'am. Now we have Abigail. Please come.
Hello everyone. So my name is Abigail from Ghana. And I'm happy to share for Women at Power, Need Women in Power. I know what I'm going to say. Very emotional, but so growing up in a community where women and then girls are not recognized, because my mother so my mother with other 2 women, they didn't get a chance to go to school because the family thought that women should be wives, housewives in their homes, feeding the family and all that. So right now, need to go far. I can't really like allow you to stay here and then go through what I'm going through. So at the age of 12, I went to Accra, which is the city of Ghana, to study there because she felt that that's a place where I will meet other women and other girls who are also working to make change in the community. So I went there to stay with my father, and it wasn't easy. Yeah, from the village to the city, it wasn't that easy. Yeah, there was a point where people were just laughing at me. But yeah, one thing that encouraged me was that even in class, yeah, I think the first time, yeah, I became first in the class and I was like, wow, the girl you're laughing at is really like blowing out. So at the end of the year examination, I thought at being the first in the school, like leading the school. Yeah. Well, so yeah, it's not been easy at all. So along the journey, or like, wow, this is not easy. I think I have to really look back and help my other sisters who are also in that community. Yeah, so along the way, I was just moving around trying to get some women who can really help me. But at my first like trials and then all that, I got some women who be like, oh, you're not of the standard, you're not this. Yeah, so they really pushed me away, but I keep on fighting because I know that I'm going to get those women. So yeah, I use LinkedIn a lot. So I've been seeing some inspiring women. So I write to them and I'm like, woman, please, you have to help me with this one because there are lots of women in Africa, Ghana here who are suffering. So I just need a way out to help them. You know, I think two replied, and that's Miss Sunela from Sri Lanka. I want to thank her very much. Yeah, she's the CEO of Women Empowered Global. And she was like, yeah, we can think of something. Why don't you come up with African Women Leadership Forum? Yeah, so I will invite my friends who are global speakers to come and then speak to these African women. Yeah, so that's something that we've been doing, and it's been amazing, amazing. Yeah, I'm just 20, I'm a student, and yeah, I've not been there, but this work is really inspiring other women who are already like in their workplaces and then all that. And I also work with farmers, yeah, to empower women. The widows and then all that to empower them, because most of the time in Africa, my sisters in Africa, you know, the women over there, I don't know, there is something, they are not open to the world. Like people think that they are just like, you can, as a woman, like you can't really open up and then go out there. But yeah, that's one thing I'm working on very hard to also help them come out like me. Yeah, and apart from the agriculture too, I'm also working hard to get women who are into tech. Yeah, because in Ghana again and in Africa, yeah, the rates of women in tech compared to men is very low. So that's something that I'm working on. And when I was in school, I was very good at math, but the guys were like, girls, you can't be scientists, like you can't do that engineering thing. I was like, what? But yeah, now I've read stories about inspiring engineers, doctors, and yeah, and I'm ready to share it. And so one day I found Association of Computing Machinery. I think it's for Americans and all that. I was like, well, this one we need it in Africa. So I emailed them and I was like, I want to start this thing. So there was this woman who came back to me and be like, oh, okay, you want to start? All right. So they gave me the opportunity to start at ACM Africa. It's recently in Ghana, and I think you may be launching. Yeah. You'll be launching it, and I'm so happy to also get other men from other companies who want to partner so that at the end of maybe a semester, they can get some girls to intern with them, also develop them too. Yeah, so I'm very happy for that, and I want to use this opportunity to tell every woman here that we are powerful, we have so much in us that we need to bring out. And yeah, I saw this one yesterday, that yourself right now be saying, I'm lost, but your higher self out there will be like, no, you are evolving and your surroundings are going to feel unfamiliar. And one day, just like that, you will rediscover your light, you will embrace your inner warrior, you will snatch power back, and the whole game will change. Women are powerful. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech. Now we have Bhavani. Please come forward.
Hi, my name is Pavni, and I'm really very glad to be here. And the topic in particular is of a very keen interest to me. In fact, I'd really love to ponder deep into it and do more research into it, because out of personal experience, I've really seen how women in power can, help get women at power. So my name is Pavni. I'm 24 years old. I'm a social entrepreneur and activist. I started a company called Atmanirbhar, which is my third venture, in August 2017. We train women how to ride scooters. We have almost a troop of 80 women on field as of today right now, who are teaching these women how to ride scooters. Thank you. In 5 different cities of India, and within this year, the goal is to expand pan-India. We've also helped a lot of these women get jobs in logistics, e-commerce, food delivery, and it is not every day that you see a woman come to pick you up in a cab, or a woman get your food delivery, or a woman get your Amazon parcel. And that's something that I see within the next couple of years should be a 50-50% ratio, because we know how economies at scale are growing, and women should have an equal contribution to it. I'll tell you a personal experience. So when I started Atmanirbhar, there was this girl who used to wash utensils at my house. She was 18, her name is Sushila, and she would come with her mother. So it was basically a mother who would take the payment, but she would help her out, and she would hardly earn 500, 1,000 rupees out of it. That's like $8, $10. And then one day she was like, you know what, I know how to ride a scooty, I just don't have one, why don't you employ me? I kind of didn't trust her, and I told her, take me for a ride and we'll decide. And she did a pretty decent job. So I got her training, I gave her my own scooty that I had, and today she earns up to 20,000 rupees a month. She has more FDs than I do. So she will tell me, Didi, aapko paise chahiye to mujhse le lena. So she bought herself a gold ring, she bought her own scooty, she bought her own smartphone, which she recently, while riding a scooty, it fell. But so when I started Atmanirbhar, I had a very strong vision of creating an all-women company, and I'll tell you why. So I come from a city called Mathura, which is a tier 3 city, okay, in India. And there must be around 100, 150 women entrepreneurs there, and most of them are running boutiques or parlors, so very conventional businesses that are, directly connected with to women. And I would categorize these women into 3. So there were women who were working, but they didn't have a vision. So they were pretty happy or content with what they were doing. Then there were women who had a vision, but they really didn't have the drive, or they didn't have the know-how as to how do we grow, how do we scale. There were women who didn't have an ambition at all. And then there were women who had both vision and ambition, but then they would just move out of the city, go to Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, get better opportunities, and of course they do deserve it, because you don't have those kind of opportunities in Mathura. When I shifted to Mathura and started Atmanirbhar, and thankfully I was blessed, and Atmanirbhar had a lot of eyeballs rolling, and it was covered in TOI and all. It got a lot of PR, all over media and everything. And I realized it brought a lot of change to the ecosystem. All of a sudden I saw women my age who were, otherwise who would have in an ideal situation gone out, started their own ventures in the city. There were women who had for years been thinking about expanding, scaling, all of a sudden were coming to me and asking, how do we do it now? We finally want to do it. And I think that is why I was very keen about talking about this issue in particular. And that is when it hit me that I want to start an all-women company. Because women in power, the way they can inspire other women to, so for example, I had been struggling to find an operations head for my company for the last 3 months, and I couldn't find many women who would shift to Mathura or who would take up a job in operations, because it's not something that women typically do. Operations, it's mostly HR, or it's marketing, or it's finance, and operations, expects you to go out. And then I kind of went onto the internet and I researched who are the top COOs, female COOs in the world. And there were a lot of female CEOs, CFOs, CMOs, but there were no COOs. I was like, I need a female COO. Because if I put a male on that position, he's not going to inspire other women to come and be operations heads. He's not going to inspire women to go travel and do jobs that are not conventionally for women. And since then, thankfully, we found our operations head now. And since then, I've been, continuously striving to create an all-women company. We have a staff of around 100 women now, working from different cities, and I hope to continue and stick to that vision in the future. And another example, if I am to give for this particular issue, we've all been hearing about pink tax. We've all been hearing about how there are decisions related to sanitary napkins, childcare, healthcare, women entrepreneurship. And the problem is that most of these decisions are made on tables that rarely have women on the table. So how do we really expect these decisions to be taken in favor of women when there are no women taking these decisions? So yes, we do need women in power so that we can strengthen more women in terms of decision making, in terms of inspiration both. There is a very famous saying in India, at least, I don't know about the other countries, that it's often the women who pull the women down. And I think it's because female genocide, so killing the girl child in the womb, it's a very prominent issue in India, and it's been since ages. And in most cases, it will be the eldest female in the family who will often push the daughter-in-law to get the test done, and if it's a female, she'll be the one pushing her to get it aborted. So, and there are a lot of other ways, other issues also, be it in dowry, where it's often the women who are pulling the women down. So I feel it's time to change that, and we need more women to, instead of pull, to push them up. And I would just like to close by saying that, so when I was being raised, like I am still being raised, so my dad will tell me, do whatever you want, wear whatever you want, go wherever you want. So I'm a solo traveler too. I ride a Royal Enfield, and I've never been stopped, never ever. But I'll tell my parents, why don't you teach my brother how to make tea? When you're teaching me to do everything, please teach him to iron his clothes. Please teach him to, so that he can grow up, share his responsibilities. So, and we live in a world where, all of us, I'm sure, and probably when I have a daughter, I will be raising her to be stronger than me, to achieve anything in the world. But I hope that when I have a son, I also raise him to be able to watch